And so previously, Git integration for other Fabric components existed, like your lakehouses and your pipelines and your notebooks, but now we have Git integration for warehouses. So that is a huge feature that has been long awaited by most Fabric engineers working in the platform now.
Hi, I'm Jill from Collectiv, and I'm excited to introduce our new show, Fabric Threads, where we unravel Microsoft Fabric for you. I'm joined by my co-host, co-worker, and Fabric expert, Dennis. And each month, we'll explore how you can use Fabric to help your organization to succeed by solving business challenges. We're fresh off the Fabric Community Conference, also known as FabCon. So we have tons of new updates and exciting features in Fabric to discuss with you today.
FabCon was an awesome event. Collectiv was a sponsor, and I think the best part was talking with industry experts as well as the Fabric partner team. We got lots of new feature updates, really exciting stuff coming from the Fabric team.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that many data enthusiasts and experts under one roof, and we had some great conversations.
We spoke with quite a few different industry experts, different industries, different companies to talk about their Fabric data initiatives. So whether that be Power BI reporting, data warehousing, data lakehousing, ETL, we had tons of conversations throughout the entire conference.
Well, I don't know about you, Dennis, but I could talk about FabCon all day. But let's get into the meat of our conversation today.
Sounds good. Let's jump into it.
So I think the first feature we want to discuss today is a new visual, the 100% stacked area chart. Dennis, what's that all about?
So this 100% stacked area chart, it's a new Power BI core visual. So Power BI data visualizations can be separated between core visuals and custom visuals. And so your core visuals are the ones that you see on the right-hand visualization pane whenever you're developing in Power BI Desktop or the Power BI service.
That's awesome. I love options. So what problem is this really solving?
So previously you had to do some custom DAX development or use another visual in conjunction with custom DAX development in order to get a similar result. And so now users who don't have a lot of development experience, aren't familiar with Power BI Desktop and maybe just developing in the Power BI service, can use that drag and drop interface to see proportions of dimensions over a period of time.
Sounds like people like me who aren't developers but still want to be experts with data visuals could really benefit from that. Is that right?
Exactly. So that's exactly what Microsoft and the Power BI team is trying to get to promote that self-service analytics.
Awesome. Is this something I have to pay extra for? Is there any gotchas I should be aware of?
No true gotchas. So it is part of the Power BI core visuals, which are always included in Power BI Desktop or the Power BI service. So it will be free to use. The one thing I would consider is that if you do have custom development, custom DAX code, or custom visualizations developed to get this result, you may want to go re-explore those reports and then replace it with the new visualization.
Okay, so the second feature I want to ask you about today, Dennis, is what is this new update about storytelling in PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely. So storytelling in PowerPoint has actually always been a feature within the Power BI service. You've always been able to export to PowerPoint and embed a live image. But now this is more of an enhancement to that feature. So you can continue to embed live reports inside of your PowerPoints and actually click, filter, cross-filter reports directly inside of your PowerPoint. Now, the new enhancement is really around embedding an image of that report into PowerPoint. And so the idea is that you can embed a public image or a live image. A public image can be viewed by anybody looking at that PowerPoint slide. So if you have data within there that you have embedded as a public image, they can view it all. The alternative is what's called a live image. And a live image actually prompts the user to log into that report prior to seeing the visualization. So if you have some complex data security requirements, then you may want to visit that live embed feature where you have to prompt users to log in from PowerPoint before they see the report.
That sounds really neat, Dennis. So I can either have my report be updated with live data every time, or that static image you were talking about, and I also have the control of who needs to log in to see what I'm doing or not?
Exactly. So now you have quite a few options if you want to embed your reports within PowerPoint.
Okay, Dennis. So the third one I'm interested in hearing more about is the Google Cloud Storage and AWS compatible data sources and shortcuts to get there. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. So shortcuts has actually been a feature in Fabric for quite a few months now. And so the idea is that when you create a shortcut to one of your data sources, it doesn't store or duplicate that data. It is just creating a connection actually from Fabric into that data source and allows you to query it, build reporting, and model on top of that.
So that sounds cool. What problem is this really solving for customers?
Yeah, so most customers, they really don't want to duplicate or store their data a second time because they already have it in that source system, such as the Google Cloud Storage, AWS, Azure Data Lake. And what Shortcuts enables you to do is just create a connection to that data so you can use that data within Fabric. It doesn't duplicate or store it. It is actually just a direct connection to it.
That sounds great. Like I would probably be able to benefit by using less resources if I don't have to duplicate that data.
Exactly. And now with this update, including Google Cloud and AWS into Shortcuts, you can now connect to the three major cloud data platforms in the US and really across the world.
That's awesome. I've also had some folks ask me about shortcuts to on-prem data. Is that something that we should be on the lookout for?
We should be on the lookout for that. So the Microsoft team is working on that, but it is not a feature that's currently enabled. So shortcuts do not work with your on-prem data sources. It is strictly Dataverse, Azure Data Lake, Google Cloud Storage, and AWS Data Storage.
Okay, now the big one, what everybody cares about. Tell me what's the latest in security updates in Fabric, Dennis.
Absolutely. So the first update that I want to go over is the tenant level private link. And in short, this feature enables you to lock down your Fabric components and really your entire Fabric environment to the public internet. So public internet networks cannot access your Fabric environment. It is managed into one Azure VNet that you can configure yourself.
That's big news, right? There was no way to restrict public internet access to Fabric, right?
Exactly. So enterprises that have really strict data security concerns and policies haven't been able to implement Fabric for that reason.
Well, that sounds super exciting, Dennis. Are there any other limitations that we should be aware of with this new feature?
There are definitely a few limitations, but the biggest one is that this feature does not work with on-premise data sources or on-premise data gateways for that matter. So if you enable this feature, your data gateways will not work or function.
Is there another update we should be aware about?
So the second major Fabric security feature update is the managed private endpoints. And so it's actually pretty similar to the tenant level link, except now we can connect Fabric components directly to other data sources that are hidden behind Azure VNets or private networks that aren't available to the public internet.
Well, that sounds like it'll certainly reach a broader audience.
So most enterprises now have very strict data security policies and lock down their data to the public internet. So you can only access it through private links, which this feature now allows Fabric components to connect to those other data sources. Previously, you really only had the ability to connect to data sources that were on the public internet.
Is this able to connect to all data sources, or is there a limitation?
There is a limitation. You only have about 25 data sources that are currently supported, but knowing Microsoft and the Fabric team, they will certainly continue to add those data sources.
There's one last feature I was interested in hearing more about, and that's the Git integration with Fabric Synapse warehouses. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, absolutely. And this is the main feature that I wanted to talk about today. And so previously, Git integration for other Fabric components existed, like your lakehouses and your pipelines and your notebooks, but now we have Git integration for warehouses. So that is a huge feature that has been long awaited by most Fabric engineers working in the platform now.
Well, that sounds really exciting. Is there a big problem that this addresses?
Yeah, so previously, if you were using warehouses inside of Fabric, you couldn't do your standard CI/CD processes, specifically in Azure DevOps, and now you can. So you can connect your Azure DevOps instance directly to your Fabric instance and have Git integration with your warehouses. So all of your version control and CI/CD processes can be directly done in there.
Well, that sounds like music to the ear of fabric engineers. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, fabric engineers are going to be so excited because this is one step closer to having all fabric components with Git integration.
Thanks so much, Dennis, for sharing about these exciting and cool updates in Fabric. I've learned a lot. My brain maybe needs a moment that I'll go walk the dog so I can really sit on what all these features mean for our business and customers. But it was great spending time with you today.
Yeah, you bet, Jill. It was so exciting, and I'm really excited to get these features implemented across all of our clients at Collectiv.
That sounds great. And for our audience out there, we'd love to hear from you. What features were exciting to you? What would you like to learn more about? If you would just take a moment and leave a comment, we'd appreciate it. And thanks for spending time today.